We need some music or something to deafen the air.
Hello, everybody.
There's the music I was looking for, Lakeisha's voice.
Shalom. Let's see, I'm checking all my peeps to make sure we have some quorum before we get started. We'll do it like romper room style. Yes. Dave, fix your hair. There you go.
I was on Romper Room when I was like 3 years old. Nobody even knows what it is.
I've got Mr. Steven and Miss Tiffany.
Magic mirror, Miss
Amy.
Tiffany.
Yes, it's like romper room. I see Amy. I see Tiffany. I see Steve. I see Steven. I see Miss Joanne. And okay. I thought I saw Chuck, but perhaps there's my friend Chuck. All right, looks like we've got enough of our peeps together. Hey, everybody. I hope everyone's having a very decent day thus far as we wind it on down. If I can get a motion to call our meeting to order, that would be lovely.
I move that we call this meeting to order.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Fantastic. We have called our meeting to order. First line of business, let's take a look at the minutes from the board meeting on January 19th. Does anyone have any questions, comments, anything that might possibly need another review or changes made to it? Okay, in that case, may I have a motion to approve the minutes from the board meeting on January 19th, 2021? Not all at once, of course.
This is Tiffany. I'll make a motion to approve the January minutes.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? Looks good. Thank you so much. Motion carried. We have approved our January minutes. Checking over here at my email, I don't see where we had anyone sign up. Is that correct, Dr. Hill?
It's a good question. Give me just 1 second. I forgot to check.
That's okay. Take your time.
Oh, I'm going to take my time.
I have no doubt you will. You're just that kind of fella.
Yeah, I do not see anyone that has signed up using the form.
Okay. Very good. In that case, let's go ahead and move right on to our guest of honor for the evening. We'll talk to Mr. Tom Miller a little bit about our director search. Welcome, Mr. Miller. Thank you so much for taking some time out this evening to come be with us.
Of course. Welcome. Thanks, everybody, board of directors and CFCI staff and parents and faculty. It's always a pleasure to spend some time with you. So I was asked to provide an update on the school director search. So Ms. McCormick, I don't know if you were able to share the timetable form with everybody. But I can tell you that, we're in the phase 2 of the process. But just to kind of start off, we have 19 members of the organization are part of the transition team. About half of them right now are fully engaged from evaluating resumes. We had 56 resumes from 17 states across the country come in. Everybody of those 56 had some sort of graduate degree because that was one of the minimum requirements to come in. And so through that, our team of 7 to 10 transition members reviewed all of those resumes and using a rubric that we had come together to participate in to create, voted, and we had invited the top 20 of those resumes to come for a phone screening. Each phone screening took about 30 minutes. So we've completed all of those phone screenings. They were recorded and archived. So now that transition team is reviewing all of those, and they're going to bring a yes, we would like to invite individual candidates forward for a next deeper, fuller interview on March 3rd. So when you think about the hours put in totality, 7 to 10 members reviewing 20, 30-minute interviews, right? That's 10 hours per person plus their resume. So we're already well over a few hundred hours in time between the every 2 weeks meeting and the resume review, where we put the applications out. I think we had 13 or 15 medias that we put it out on for 45 days. So we've had a pretty good, start, to it for sure. So the next step is going to be important, creating the interview questions for the deeper interview and inviting, we anticipate maybe half of those 20, maybe a little bit less than half of those 20, depending on what the team would like to do. So that's kind of a quick overview of where we are. We're on track to have second full interviews before spring break, which would put the board in a position to have finalists on campus in early April to be able to be in decision mode by the end of that month. So we're pretty much on track with the timeline that I had sent previously.
Hey, Tom,
you should all have a copy. Hey,
remind me again, the finalist count, is that like a top 5, top 10? What's that count? It's kind of, what do you anticipate it to be?
Yeah, so I always try to cut the field in half every time. So it really kind of depends on how many people come on March 3rd to get us down to. I've had as many as, 3 to 4, finalists is a lot for that day, for that big day on campus. And sometimes 1 or 2 individuals just really outshine everybody else. And the team is just very adamant about, we think these are the only 1 or 2 people that we should bring forward. So that's also happened too. But the goal is to put, 300 or 400 hours of time and, discussion before the board as a whole is in front of, those couple of candidates.
Any other questions for Tom?
Just seconding the amount of time that's gone into this with teachers. Carla, my teaching partner, has been part of it. And I know it's taken a lot of time, but they're excited about it. Like, I can just feel the energy from people just excited about the possibility. So it was good from our end.
Yeah, thank you for that. And, one of the things that I forgot to mention is that we sent a survey to parents, which had a lot of responses. And I don't know if it went to the staff too, but it was about what questions would you like asked, right? So we already have a bank of about 120 behavioral based, questions that the team is kind of rooting through. And now we're asking also, family members, what would they like to see asked, or what would they like to be, part of the process? So, so we're also, pulling in other stakeholder viewpoints and making sure that we're capturing all those as well. So that's one thing that I forgot to mention.
And Tom, that will happen. It's just, it didn't go out with the same because we wanted to do it a little bit differently. So we'll be getting teacher and staff input pretty soon, this week sometime.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, and we fully anticipate that March 24th date also having staff somehow part of that, process for the second deeper interview. So, and that's what we want to get to before spring break. Any other questions or any way I could serve you all? One of the other things that will be happening this week is we typically do a social media deep dive and see what's happening, what we can find on the candidates, if there's anything else that we just want to bring to your attention. And I wanted to actually ask, at what point do we want to do criminal background checks too? So we could do the criminal background checks before they get to the fuller interview, or as we start to dwindle down. So Kim, we can talk about that on Tuesday. That could be part of the process right there. So, and then reference checks. The sooner we do a lot of those things, the easier it is to get to that last leg of the race.
Huge thanks to not only you, Tom, but everyone who's been part of transition team. I have tried to dive in on this top 20 and with the rubric and watching now some of these phone screenings, and I was able to sit in on a few of them live, and it's just quite a process. And to be able to be a part of that, I just want to say a huge thanks, because I don't want that to go unnoticed and unmentioned for everyone putting in that kind of time, because this is definitely a huge undertaking. It's a big commitment. This is going to mean a lot to our school for several years to come. So I just wanted to make sure I got that out to everyone. Thanks again for joining us, Tom. I feel like I've talked to you more the past few weeks, probably than we have in the past year. And I'm going to be talking to you again before long, but thank you again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. It was my pleasure. And thanks for spending those a couple hours with us in those interviews there. I would agree. You certainly learn a lot about, someone through a set of 8 to 9 questions. So some folks
Absolutely.
get through them in 15 minutes, and some you're like, oh, I don't think we're going to get through half of them. So
True.
that's great. That's right. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Tom. Have a great night. All right, let's move on to our finance update from Miss Mallory. How are you doing?
Good. Glad to see everybody. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. I just want to start by saying I apologize. I couldn't get the dashboard out to you. There's some idiosyncrasies from working from home versus what's on my desktop and what I can get a hold of at school and some of that. So I wasn't able to get that out last week, but I did have the budget in the board packet, and I'm not sure if I have the ability to share my screen. I can certainly try, see what happens. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So it's not the dashboard that you usually see, but this is just a synopsis of where we are. Our budget is on track. It actually increased in revenue by $4,000. DPI granted us an additional $4,000 in our EC category for EC supplies and expenses. Local and federal has stayed the same. And our expenses are basically on track. You want to see it somewhere around the 41 to 45 category. If it's higher than that, that means that we are going to be under budget, or we're tracking under budget. If it's lower than that in some of these, then we may end up a little bit over budget. But in looking at how all the numbers average out, it should still stay, keep the budget fully on track. And our surplus is still there at $198,804. And the finance committee is beginning well, I guess I shouldn't give finance update yet, but we did meet and we are beginning to work towards the getting the budget started for next year. Anyone have any questions? No.
Can you repeat what you said about as long as those percentages are, did you say 40 to something, it's under versus over?
Yeah.
Repeat that one more time for me.
Yeah, if we're at like 41 to 44, you're pretty well on track.
Mm-hmm.
If you're under that, like this one, that means that we're a little bit over budget. If they're higher than the, like, let's say 45%, like this one is at 61%.
Okay.
It's tracking under budget. So what this means is that there's 41% left to spend. So 61% left to spend means there's more,
Mhm.
than if we were at the 50%
Gotcha.
mark. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So there's a couple that are over and a couple that are under, but it's a pretty well balancing out. Should mean that we're staying on track.
That
Any
makes
other
sense.
questions? No?
I don't.
Okay. Well, I'll stop with this one and move on to the parking lot update with the parking lot. Actually, I can share with you a little synopsis. I really appreciated seeing everyone that came out to walk the property yesterday. That was fun to kind of see it coming together. If you haven't gone by there yet, I really encourage you to do so. It's starting to actually look like a parking lot and a playground, which is awesome. There's a couple things in there, changes that have occurred from our contingency budget, and these are noted here. We had to use $1,000 for some additional DOT bond that we didn't anticipate. A change order from Honeycut Construction. There was a couple additional tree protection areas required by the city arborist, which we've run into so many tree issues on this project. This is a change order for J&J Fence because the cost of lumber was going up significantly. So when it started going up, we locked in the purchase of our materials, but it was still already $2,000 over the original bid because of cost of lumber right now. This is an additional $5,000 because once our retaining wall went in, it was much higher than we thought it would be, and it runs along the road, so it's really not safe. Anyone could easily just fall off the side and really hurt themselves. So it's a big liability issue. And so we had to incur this additional expense to continue the railing all the way down and around the corner where the retaining wall is. And this was, that was this, sorry, I went to the wrong one. This one was for root spading. That was the city arborist needed or requested that the roots of the trees not be left the way that they are. Before construction started, we had to what's called air spade them. So they had to bring in this very big piece of equipment and blow air into the ground to expose the roots of the trees. And then they had to go in and prune the roots back so that they're inside of the tree protection area, because the city arborist let us know that pruning those roots would save the tree. If we left them the way that they were and heavy equipment and things rolled over the top of it, then it would splinter them and damage the tree. So it's better to prune them. We didn't really have a choice. It wasn't better or best. It was, you have to spend this money and you can't, dig them out. You have to blow it away with an air spading piece of equipment, which Wrightsville Beach Landscaping had never used that before. So they had to rent that piece of equipment. It was a very interesting process. Sorry about that. And then this one right here is the gate and the fence that I was just talking about. So with those change orders, it was $13,000 is what's left in the contingency budget. However, we were $2,000 under budget for from the demolition company that came and took all the trees down. So that leaves us at around $16,000 in contingency. One of the things that we talked about yesterday in walking the property is that there are a couple additional gates that are really needed once you're out there and walking around to secure that playground from outside public and pedestrians being able to access it. So we will probably need an additional $1,000 out of this. And then the slope, because of the trees that were required to be left up that we didn't know about ahead of time in our original surveys of the property that the tree arborist forced us to leave, the sidewalk has to kind of meander a little bit differently, and the slope ended up being, gosh, I can't remember the percentage of the slope. It falls at a rate of 4% to go from the parking lot all the way down to the back side of the property where you access the school. And so for ADA approval, we had to have that 4% slope, which meant that at the bottom part of the property, we had to dig into the ground, which left exposed areas for erosion and soil. And so a retaining wall is potentially necessary. Retaining wall expense could be around $20,000, which is over this. However, in bringing out the engineer and the landscapers and a few other people today, George believes that they can go back to the city arborist and request encroaching on the tree protection by around 3% and pushing that dirt back away from where it is right now, and only having to do a small retaining wall or be able to handle the erosion with these eco, I don't know, like a blanket or sheets that go down, and then you plant particular bushes and landscaping to hold the soil in place instead of the retaining wall. So need a little bit more time. There's a good chance that we will stay within contingency, but there is the possibility it may go over a few thousand. So heads up on that. The consensus today is that we have about 45 more days before the project is completed. Yay.
Yay.
Any questions?
That's awesome.
No? All right, we're just
So
rolling with
we'll just talk about that piece, Mallory, with through shared leadership and through the faculty. We were thinking about bringing that to everyone and doing some type of socially distanced opening, whether it's a drive-through or something. We'll plan on doing that, sometime in May probably. So, but just so people are knowing that we're thinking about it. What can we do to celebrate this amazing playground parking lot? So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so I bring you some really good news today. I have, where is it? Sorry, it's not showing up. Hold on one second, let me get this going for you. I'm gonna pull up my, here it is. Talking out loud. Okay. Here we go. I always talk to myself. Sorry about that. So here is the appraisal. Some of you, I'm sure, already saw it or looked at it. Was much more than I anticipated it being, which is really exciting. This is a really well-known group that did this appraisal for us, and this is their summation. They concluded that the unit value was somewhat above average because of the lake amenity on it. And based on the previous information, including the legal and physical characteristics, the bottom line is they believe that the valuation of the property is $825,000 as a really good starting point. Now, the market obviously can shift at any time. This is currently the market value based on the property that has sold and what's listed around it. Currently, according to George, the property connected to it that makes this property even more desirable is now up for sale and under contract, pending the hope that they would also potentially be able to purchase this property and piece. Now, I think they were in their mind thinking it would be about half this cost. So we'll see if they're still interested when they find this out. But something for the board to think about. Are you even interested in selling, or do you want to hold on to it? What is it that the board wants to do with this? But having this knowledge really is helpful. And if you do decide to put it on the market, it gives you a place where you can negotiate from.
Hey, Mallory, I want to just make sure for the audience that there's no confusion. We've shifted discussion from the parking lot and playground that's under construction to the blue clay property.
Yes.
So distinct and separate. So this evaluation is not to do with our current property on Shipyard. This is over in blue clay. This is great. Thank you.
Yes, sorry, I didn't
okay.
clarify. You're absolutely right. This has nothing to do with our current building or property.
What's our next steps here with this now that we have this information?
I believe the board would need to vote whether or not they want to sell the property. And then once it goes up for sale, we could talk about the current path for that is to list it with a realtor or to pursue this other entity or connection that might be interested in it. But that would be negotiations, and if they are or aren't, and then also, are we going to list it? Who would we list it with? All of those things.
Okay.
So there would need to be a discussion, Dave.
Yeah.
But not necessarily now.
Yeah, not it's not on this agenda, but we add it to an exported meeting, perhaps. Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good. Well, that is good news. It's good to have some options.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, something that's within our control for a change.
Yeah. Well, the last thing on the agenda is mentor pay, and I'll actually let Kim talk about that. So thank you so much for your time, and let me know if you have any questions.
Thanks again, Mallory.
So for mentor pay, the way our policy reads is that the board should be revisiting this every year. So I'm not sure that it happened last year or the year before, but we are bringing it back forward. And the board, so I gave you the board policy just so you can see where it exists. The pay that we're recommending is $250 for the year for each mentor. These are for our beginning teacher mentors. The beginning mentor teachers this year include Sam DePrisco, who's a Kinder K1 teacher, and she's mentoring Jennifer Medwick in the 2-3 loop, and Sarah McCorkle, who is one of our sixth grade teachers, and she's mentoring Allie Moore, who is our 7th grade ELA social studies teacher. So that would be two mentor pays at $250 a piece, so $500 total. You do need to vote on this, but that is the recommendation.
Any questions before
That's
anyone calls for a vote?
That's the recommendation, but that is also what has been the same. That's the same number as years past.
Yes, from what I can find, between two and 250. Mm-hmm.
Shannon, I see you shaking your head.
We've never gotten paid as far as I know. This is my second time being a mentor.
Oh,
I don't know if that's true or not, Sarah. I just know that it's in the policy, and that's what I've been told. So
yeah, it may have been rolled in and I just didn't notice it, but
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have any other questions on this.
Cool. Anyone else? All right.
I have a question. Is that like the going rate in other schools? Is it enough, I guess, is the question?
I think we'd have to look at it a little bit more research, but I think for this year, it's what we've had done in the past, well, a little bit more than what we've done in the past. And I'm certainly willing to research that a little further, Amy. A lot of times mentors aren't paid, but I mean, it is part of what you do in leadership. But I think what we feel is that this is a policy we have in place. And I think that mentors spend a lot of time with their mentees. That's what they're supposed to do. And I think that it's a form of leadership that can be recognized with a stipend. So
absolutely.
But I'm happy to go and look at that even for next year.
Sure. Thank you.
Since we're discussing mentorship, I'm curious if and I probably should know this, but I don't. If when teachers mentor and take on as a partnership teacher, do they get paid as well from, let's say, a pre-service teacher? And if, are they?
We don't have that at this point, Chuck, no.
I think this work is really, really important. I mean, it's the difference between a person having a successful start of their career or changing careers. So it's money well invested. If so anything we can give them, I think is important.
We could certainly put that on one of our budget considerations. There's a lot coming up. We're looking at a lot of different things, but I really appreciate you bringing that up, and I'm happy to add that to our budget deliberations, in terms of what we're talking about for priorities, because I think it's important as well. And it certainly is part of our strategic goal. If you think about, being the best school in terms of inquiry, and then having the best teachers and, the best, sometimes when you're a mentor, that helps you become a better teacher as well, right? So I think that's a good suggestion, and I'm happy to add that.
Are the mentors able to just volunteer, or do you have a pool of potential mentors that meet a certain criteria and you're just picking them every year? How does that work? How does like a veteran teacher become a mentor?
So
I'm just curious.
Julie, would you like to answer that as the BT coordinator this year? Would you like to do that? Matt, could you unmute it? Thank you.
Sure. So we have a set range of criteria that we require for mentors. Part of that is being a CFCI teacher for at least 5 years. And then we do ask for volunteers. However, we try to best match mentors and BTs based on certification ranges and grade levels. So it's not just a, hey, I want to do it kind of thing, but it's a certain skill set and a certain criterion that we're looking for when we are matching our BTs and mentors.
Awesome. That was my only question. If anyone has anything else, if not, we can ask for a motion for a vote. May I have a motion to approve the policy 535 mentor pay of $250 each with a total of $500?
Motion to approve the 535 policy.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. Motion approved. Thank you so much.
Lakeisha, can I just add something?
Of course.
Kathy Mintz just shared with me, and so Chuck, this will be helpful to you, that UNCW does pay the teachers. So just so you know that, I did not know that way. So I appreciate that information as well. But
I just looked it up, and it comes directly from Dr. Stephen Hill's paycheck. So we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
That's where that's been going.
That's a deduction that you didn't know what it was for.
Now you know.
You thought it was going in savings, but
There you go.
All right, Ms. Kim, will you please continue with your interim report?
Sure. So for the interim report, I just wanted to make sure you knew a few things that were going on through the COVID, and I did send you the report and have embedded it in the agenda. And unfortunately, mine's just not cooperating. But we wanted to update you on the what's going on with COVID in our school, the school transition from Plan B to C, remote learning for 14 days from February 1st to the 12th. And we were following CDC guidelines. Transitioning to remote learning happens after two positive cases of COVID within a school or more. So we went with 3. We had 2. We went with 3. And this is following our Department of Health and Human Services guidelines as well. And they asked us to close. So the school's transitioning back now. This is our first week back open in Plan B, hybrid. Our COVID dashboard currently had, as of Saturday, had 6 students and staff being quarantined. A survey of all employees determined that about 90% of our employees would like to partake in the COVID vaccine clinic that Tanya Jasmine, our health consultant, is trying to arrange. We have encouraged, however, our teachers to go ahead, and if they can find a vaccine separately from this clinic that we're trying to arrange, please go ahead and do so. We don't want anybody to feel like they can't go and find a vaccine on their own. So far, I mean, and as you probably all well know, that the governor opened up the group 3 for us for school employees for February 24th. That doesn't mean that they're going to be available February 24th. It just means that starting February 24th, we can start to receive the vaccine. So I just finished saying that Tanya is working closely with the Department of Health and Human Services. When the announcement was made, they immediately sent an email to me, and all charter school leaders in New Hanover County, asking us what our, who was interested in getting a vaccine in our school and what their positions were. So we've sent that information to them. We had already surveyed everybody, so we didn't know, but we were really well prepared for that information to go back out. Our COVID ad hoc committee will be meeting on February 24th at noon, and we will begin to review our plan, continue that moving forward, and have a discussion regarding Plan A. We will also look at surveying our community. We have had a few parents asking more questions about that. And, as we've said, as a COVID ad hoc, we have said that we are interested in vaccines for our employees. And we are also interested in maintaining the 6 feet social distancing. So we will be looking at those kind of topics going forward in our COVID meeting, and then communicating that out to families and to our whole school community. That includes teachers and staff, just so everybody's we're as transparent as we can be, and everybody is up to date with what our thinking is and what our decisions are that we make. Any questions about that? I did include a updated CDC guidelines for schools that just came out about 4 or 5 days ago. And that is very similar to what I've said already. We're really trying to follow CDC guidelines. Also, I just wanted to say, mention this. I didn't put it in my report, but I found it interesting. So as I'm, researching, as we all do, one of the statistics that Tanya and I have been talking about is when the governor and when people across the United States are looking at closures of schools, opening of schools, we really are on the other side of this. About 50% of schools nationwide remain closed due to COVID, and this is not transitioning in and out of COVID or closures. This is literally schools that remain closed and have not opened. And if you didn't know, for example, Durham, the county of Durham, is remote, had voted to remain remote through the end of this school year. So when they're talking about opening schools, this is part of that. I think people think that it's just about reopening in Plan A, but it really is about that pressure to make sure we're getting our kids in the building. So when we do a new survey, one of the things we've been talking about, and I'm going to bring this up to our COVID ad hoc, is that when we think about surveying, it was about if people were in B, they would automatically want to go to A, but that's not necessarily the case, because if we go to A, we have to think about not having that social distancing in place. And if parents think about that, they may not want to do that. So when we do a new survey, we're going to make sure that people are able to, tell us what they're interested in, and not make assumptions, because it's not being as open as I think we should be. So just, wanted to update you all on that. Any questions about any of that?
I have one. I read the new guidance that you sent, and I didn't see any difference from the old guidance. Can you tell me what the difference is? Is there any?
I haven't read the whole thing, Amy. I mean, Tiffany, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The biggest thing that I saw is that they really are recommending the 6-foot social distancing. They're not really backing off of that. Whereas before, if you looked at even any of their, following these kind of guidelines on any of the risk factors, that type of thing, they had said that, it was optimal, but it wasn't necessary. Now they're really saying that this is an important piece of keeping us, keeping COVID at bay. But that would be the only one that I know right off the bat that was different than the way it was represented previously.
Great, thanks.
I think it's got a lot more information in it too. It's just very detailed. Like there's diagrams of how should I set up my classroom, hand washing stations, how to mark your tables, a lot of the things I think we're doing at school, but from what I've seen, it's a lot more very clear, very set forward instead of just this is kind of what you should do.
Hey, Kim, I have kind of a general question on just the nature of our website. We have the, hold on, all over the place here on my screen. We have the Return to School 2021 section of the site, which has, the tech support help desk, the attendance link, and then like the toolkit, FAQs, lighting our way forward links. Would it make sense to embed this CDC report or a hyperlink to it on our website so parents can navigate there?
Absolutely. Honestly, it's just one of those things that's been on the list and we just haven't done it yet. And I absolutely agree with that, Dave. Any tools, any information that we can give our school community to be as transparent and give them as much information as possible to understand why some of the decisions that we're making or some of the thought process that we have is helpful, I think. So we'll get that right up. Absolutely. Thank you.
So now I say that, and that's a 24-page document that's got a bazillion different hyperlinks embedded within. Would it also make sense to just also, as a separate link, share the table format that they have? Oh man, it's like the risk calculator, right?
Yeah, no, that's actually we can definitely put it on the website, no problem. And I know what you're talking about. And we can also put the school closures document up there, which is the CDC guidelines that we've been using. We've put them at the top of all the community updates that our families get. So I wasn't really thinking as publicly that way, which is perfectly fine, but I don't have a problem putting any of that up there. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good place to reference to people. Just, hey, go to the website. You'll find a lot of good information there. So I have no problem with that. It's a good suggestion.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. The lottery. So the lottery is going to take place tomorrow at 9 a.m. Then we'll push the magic button and we will do this in a whole new way. And so when that happens, we have, at the time of this writing, which was Saturday, we had 298 applications. So I think we ended up, and I don't have an exact number, but I think Ben said this morning, it's over 300. I think he said 310. So that's good. It's not quite as much as we had last year, but it's still strong and it goes across the school. It's not just, it's just not focused on the lower grades and especially the kindergarten class. So that's really good. That's good news. We have good, solid kindergarten applicants, but we also have applicants all across the board. So very excited about that. And what he loves about it is this new system. It will, I think we talked about this before, but it's going to make it easy for everything because it's online, everything, and it's part of PowerSchool, everything will transfer over very nicely. It also notifies parents when they're on the wait list. If they're 10 and above, it notifies them. I don't remember how he said this. I think he said every 5 or something like that. But once you're at 5 and below, it notifies you every 1 every time you get closer to having a spot. So that's good. So but it happens automatically. Ben doesn't need to do it. Christine doesn't need to do it. It takes some of that off of them. So that's really great. There's still a lot of hands-on pieces to it for everybody, but this is really good. In terms, any questions about that? Any questions about lottery? We'll let you know how it goes next time. Enrollment, our enrollment remains stable from what it was last month at 391. And again, this is lower than we've been in a while, just because of COVID. And as I said to you last time, people are leaving to go and homeschool. This is not people going to the county at this point. It's not going other places. This is specifically people going to homeschool. And we're hoping, like I said, from the lottery report, that we'll be at 408 strong when we start the school year in 21-22. Any questions about enrollment?
Kim, did you skip, or am I looking at an old version of the agenda? You had just a little bullet on Lori's gift.
Yep.
Mrs. Roy's gift.
It's down. It's right there. It's down below. It's down below.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I'm looking at
it's
something
okay.
wrong.
I just haven't gotten there. Sorry. You may have gotten a PDF and I changed it a little bit, so I apologize.
No problem.
You can go on the agenda and those should be able to hit it, and it comes right up. So I can see a few people on it. So closure of corrective action, you just need to be notified that a corrective action that we had from last year from EC, all the documentation has been reviewed related to the state complaint. This is from last year, and the documentation supports all corrective actions outlined in the investigation report have been completed, and now the complaint has been closed by the state. And that's all I can really say. So thank you. Thank you note for Lori Roy. If you click that link, you will see the letter that was sent to Lori or given to Lori. I actually gave that to her today. And if you scroll down through, there's actually a photo of Lori. We, just so you know, the board had asked us to create a piece of artwork to commemorate Lori's and offer as a thank you to Lori for her years of service at CFCI. And Happy Jones and I talked a little bit about what that could be, and we worked together. And I really thank Happy for all of her work on this. She, you know, did a beautiful job putting this all together and mounting it. We had, as you probably all know, we had hearts, little squares, hearts done by students and families, parents, staff members, teachers, you know, anybody that wanted to make a heart for Lori did. And what was created was this piece of artwork that we had framed, and then there was a little plaque at the bottom that has our little motto, and then just said, for years of service, thank you, Lori. So that was the gift, and that was the letter. So any questions about that?
Thank you, Happy. That's awesome.
Very much. Thank you, Happy. Yeah, and she was very, very, very happy to get this gift. Julie, do you want to talk about the Americans with Grit from grade 2?
Sure, I am also the faculty chair. So one of the second grade standards in social studies is identifying contributions of historical figures. And so this is a project that we do every second grade year, where in the true inquiry fashion, we give a brief timeline of history and identify some people and let them choose. Sorry, my dog is super excited about it right now. Who they are interested in studying. And because it all kind of culminated at home, parents were able to record videos of their kids' final projects and send them in. And we turned them into a super awesome video. And I don't know who has screen sharing capabilities. And they are all like, it's about 30 minutes. I swear this is the best this project has ever turned out. It is really, really amazing. And there are some great ones to see, some Kamala Harris, some Ray Charles, Benedict Arnold's at 1:35. If anybody wants to screen share and play Benedict Arnold, he is amazing. Can you do that, Kim?
I think Mac's going to do it.
Julie, you have access to do that as well if you have it pulled up.
I
If you
am
don't,
on
I
my
can do it.
iPad and not on my laptop.
Okay, I can pull.
Mac, I have a queue too if you need. There you go.
I'm not sure if anybody can hear it or not.
No sound, Mac.
Okay. I'm gonna try this again.
Lots of people get jobs.
Instead of minute 35.
Money.
Our life. When I was 44, I went in a battle against the Indians. I died in 1820.
I'm Benedict Arnold. I was born in Connecticut, January 14th, 1741. In the Revolutionary War, I helped capture Fort Ticonderoga. My leg was wounded in the battles of Saratoga. That ended on October 7th, 1777. I felt like I wasn't getting paid enough money in return. I always thought money was the most important thing in life. And that's why I switched sides. Are you ready to hear the worst thing I did? Okay. I sold plans for West Point to a British spy. His name was John Andre. I died in 1801 as a traitor.
Thank you.
That was epic.
That was good.
Great.
So if you have 30 minutes, you don't know what to do with your life, put it on and watch it. It's really, really cute.
Yep. So good. Julie, do you want to go ahead and do the beginning teachers support plan? I know we voted on this a few months ago, but we had to revise and add another piece. So Julie will walk you through that.
Yep. So after you voted last time, we sent it to the state and they came back and said, you have to add one more thing. So the line that has been added has been highlighted in blue. It says, formative assessment conferences are held at the beginning, middle, and end of each year, including BT, mentor, and principal, to reflect on progress of BT in meeting goals. The signatures, and this is the part that they stressed, the signatures of BT, mentor, and principal are required for each assessment conference. So we have added that into our BT plan, taking effect at the end of this year with final formative conferences. Any questions about that?
So that needs a vote from the board to approve.
All right, if there are no questions on that, I'd love to have a motion to approve the BTSP plan. I think I got all that acronym correct.
I'll move to approve that.
Do I have a second?
This is Tiffany. I'll second.
All those in favor of approving the BTSP plan?
Aye.
Fantastic. Motion approved. We have a plan in place. Thanks, Julie.
Thanks, Julie. So tonight we have Alan McNaughton here, Dr. Mack, who is going to go through our presentation regarding some of the things we had talked about at the beginning of the year to see how our kids are doing, how they're growing. And I'm just going to let Mac take it away.
Hey, Mac, I think I might not be the only one. There's several where at least I don't have access to that particular part of the agenda.
Sorry, which part are you?
H. Let me just request access.
It's your presentation, Mac.
Yeah, that's okay. If you're going to present what we're going to see, I'll just listen on the screen. That's fine.
Okay, I apologize for that. I did not realize that that was not, didn't give everybody access. So let me.
No problem.
I'll make sure that you guys have it before the end of the night here. So
Matt, go ahead and I can work on that while you're doing it. That's no problem.
perfect. Okay. All right. Thank you, Kim.
Absolutely.
So we just kind of wanted to go through some of the assessment data, and there's a couple other pieces as part of this presentation that various people are going to talk about throughout the course of the presentation. So basically, we just kind of wanted to go through and talk about where we are as a school. We just completed our middle of year benchmark assessments, and all of the students in the school took these assessments. So we're going to jump right in. Obviously, COVID has affected the way we do school in ways we couldn't have imagined a year ago. Every school around the world created plans to support students in the best ways they had available. At CFCI, our teachers have gone above and beyond to make sure our students are receiving the best possible education. We have created plans to support each of our students, and we also had to make adjustments when those plans didn't work as well as we anticipated. The data in the following slides reflects the hard work of our teachers, as well as the partnership with our parents to support our students and community through this incredibly difficult year. So this first slide talks about our school attendance, and you can kind of see they're basically in 20 school day increments. So about a month, but you can see from the dates at the bottom, it doesn't correspond to that exactly. We started off with the number of students that are present remote. This is a percentage up on the vertical axis here, percentage of our total student population. So you can see we're pretty close to 100 present remote, and then you can start to see right around here in October, we started to bring some students into the building for assessment, some of our younger students to try to acclimate them, our kindergarten students, to get them ready for what school was going to look like. And then you can see our percentage jumped quite a bit in November when we started bringing students back into the building on a more regular basis and a larger percentage. And then the same thing all the way through the end of January. And you can see our attendance varies just a little bit. We're looking at about 2%, give or take, 2%, sometimes 3% in the overall for the school. So we're right about where we need to be as far as attendance is concerned. So basically our students are coming to school either remotely or in person. Oh, it jumped on me here. I'll make sure I didn't skip a slide. So this first slide is our 1st through 3rd grade math scores. So this is all of our students combined, and we created an average. This vertical axis here, this is a Writ Score. And a Writ Score, I don't know off the top of my head what it stands for. It is an acronym. And basically it's a proprietary number that is used by the assessment that we use that we give to all of our students through NWEA. That's the name of the company. So basically a company gives us access to their test. We give our test to give the test to all of the students, and you can kind of see about approximately where our students started at the beginning of the year, and then at the middle of this year, this is where we got up to. A couple slides further down, you'll be able to see where we compare to the national average. But one of the nice things that we appreciate about this slide is obviously the growth that we see in our students from the beginning of the year to the middle of this year. So what we're doing is working. So this is our 1st through 3rd grade math. And the next slide we have is 1st through 3rd grade reading. Now you'll see an additional data point right here in the middle of the year last year. The reason for that is at the beginning of this year, we switched tests in math. So we did not have the middle of the year last year for the assessment we're using now. So that's why there's no data point for the middle of year last year. So when you look at this year, what you're seeing is the middle of the year. We did not have end of year assessments due to COVID. We saw a dip at the beginning of year. Some of this is going to be due to COVID, but also some of it is going to be due to the fact that we had a summer break in there. Every single student all over the country, basically, there is a drop over the summer with every single student. So this is kind of what the drop looks like for us. And then you can see we start to climb back out of the dip. Now, really one of the things that I would draw attention to is you can see where we ended, where we were at middle of year last year and where we are at middle of year this year. There's a little bit of a gap there. And that is basically due to COVID, trying to have our students come into the building, doing everything we can, making adjustments to plans. But as all of our parents know, and as board members, you guys know as well, how difficult that can be. The number that you're looking at on this graph is a Dibbles composite. Dibbles is a group of scores that show a lot of specific reading strategies about things like putting consonants together and sounding out words and reading fluency. Like there's I think 6 different specific subtests that go into this composite that kind of give us an overall picture of a student's ability to read in 1st through 3rd grade. Our younger students, this is a great tool that we have. It really helps narrow down where our students are struggling so that our teachers can target those specific skills. So you can see a little bit of a dip, but again, we're climbing out of that hole, and I expect by the end of the year, we'll be right back to where we need to be. So that's 1st through 3rd grade. The next set of slides is 4th through 8th grade in reading and math. Now, let me make sure here. Okay, so this is our math scores, and then this is actually our math scores compared to the average. So let me jump back here to our reading and math scores in 4th through 8th grade. And so you can see, again, we're using the same assessment for reading and math in 4th through 8th grade. And you can see our numbers right there, staying fairly consistent from the middle of year last year. Again, beginning of year, you see a little bit of that summer drop. And then as the numbers start to come back up, again, there's a little bit of a gap there in between our where we were at this point last year and where we are this year. Again, due to COVID, trying to close that gap. The number up at the top here is our Math 1 scores. So you can see where we started to the middle of the year last year, a little bit of that summer dip, and then we have actually surpassed where we were last year with our Math 1 scores. So our Math 1 students are really working hard and doing everything that they need to.
Mac, this is Tiffany. Can I stop you for a sec?
Yeah,
to ask a question? Thank you. So when you're saying they're back to where they should be, is that they're back, like a 4th grader is now back to where, and now they're in 5th grade, back to where they were in 4th grade, or are they where they should be for the grade that they're in?
Absolutely. So this is one of the, and this can be a little bit difficult to follow at times. What we're measuring is grade levels, not cohorts. Tiffany, what you're talking about is following a 4th grader into 5th grade and measuring their scores that way. We're actually not comparing specific students. We're comparing a grade level. So if you were to look at on this graph, the group of students that scored right here is not the same group of students that scored right here. Now, some of them will be because we have a 4 grade range right there. So some of the students are going to match, but for example, there are 8th graders in this group that are now in 9th grade in this group. So they're not in this score. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's not like that it shouldn't be a trajectory that they're getting more and more competent. It should be that they're at grade level.
Yeah, so what this is showing our teachers' ability to instruct our students. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yes.
So our teachers they're able to work through the processes and the problems that we've come across due to COVID and other areas. And they're able, in Math 1 specifically, our Math 1 teacher is able to has been able to adjust well in order to make sure that our students are where they need to be at this point in the year. Same thing with down here in reading and math in 4th through 8th grade.
Great, thank you.
I can pause right here. Does anyone else have questions at this point before I move on to the next slide?
Can you clarify the difference between the math and the math 1?
Absolutely. So math 1 is a EOC. It is a 9th grade course. So basically we have a group of 8th grade students that are taking a freshman level math course in high school. And it is a specific class versus our traditional 8th grade math, which all of our 8th graders are responsible for the 8th grade math content, but we have a group of students that is also taking a 9th grade math course, which combines the material together. Does that make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
I thought that was the math that my 3rd grader is doing right now. It's so hard, guys. Sorry.
We feel your pain, Dave.
Yeah, it's so hard.
Matt, can I just ask a clarification?
Sure.
So basically, we're sitting with this group of kids where we were this time last year with our old group of kids. So we're measuring, like you said, not a grade level, but we're measuring basically our progress that we make each year. So when you look at 6th grade, I can look at how my individual kids have grown, but also I could see, okay, my kids have the same type of skills now as they did at this time last year, even though they're not the same students.
Yes.
Am I reading that right?
Yes.
Okay, so this isn't growth of students. This is just, we're basically sitting pretty much where we were last year, which is good considering they had 3 months where they didn't have direct instruction.
That, and Sarah, you hit the nail right on the head. That to me is the most positive aspect of this graph, is that despite COVID, we are able to get our students almost to exactly where they need to be as if they had not missed any school. And to me, that is a huge piece.
Yeah, I think it really speaks volumes to the structure and the organization and discipline of the remote learning plan that CFCI developed very early. And so, congratulations and kudos to all the teachers and faculty for the work there. I know it's not easy, but this speaks volumes. Sarah, that was a great explanation. Thank you.
Do you have any other questions? I got one more slide here, and then I'm going to turn it over to some others to share their thoughts as well. Right,
so Mac, the numbers on the left mean absolutely nothing to me, but okay, here we go. National average. Okay.
Go ahead. See, I figured this is where we were headed.
Yeah.
So this is 4th through 8th grade math. This is our school average, and as we compare to the national average, again, using the Writ Score in the assessment tool that we use. So this says a lot. You can see, again, now, one of the things I would like to draw attention to, this number, this national average, is not based on COVID. This national average was taken in 2017. So it's something that to kind of bear in mind. The company that does the assessment for us, they did not recheck all of the national averages for COVID because it's such a lengthy process. They do it about every 5 years. So there'll probably be another one in another 2 years. But these numbers, you can see, like I realize the scale is a little bit difficult, but this point and this point are actually identical. They are the exact same place because the middle of the year in 4th through 8th grade math should be right there. The middle of the year in 4th through 8th grade math should be right. So it's the same number, but what it does show you is it shows you a little bit of the dip. And then again, the improvement similar to what we did in our school average. And then also one thing to notice is the difference between these two lines when you look at the difference. So what we're noticing here is this gap is a little bit narrower, and we know that's because of COVID. But one of the nice things we're seeing is, again, that rate of progress is improving, which is a huge piece.
I'm not a math teacher, but I work with a math teacher. Carla always says, you're going to see more growth towards the end of the year because they have not been taught some of the stuff that is on this test. So I would imagine, well, I know just my pacing for my own stuff, I'm getting more done now since I have them in person a little bit more and I can teach them more hands-on compared to what I was doing virtually. So I think probably the graph will continue to rise now that they're seeing their people more, and then we have more of the rest of the year to pan it out.
Absolutely.
I'm impressed that we didn't lose more in the spring and summer than would be typical. It's that same angle as the national average, even though we were thrown into remote without any notice in the spring. So that's really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Mac, I just wanted to add for, especially if we have parents watching and who have middle schoolers and other kids who are taking these tests, these are just singular data points in our entire year too. So we have to keep that in mind. I mean, these are snapshots of kids on one given day, same way we talk about an EOG at the board level. Kid might have had a great day, might have had a terrible day. So it's one aspect of the conversation we have about our students. So it's an important thing to share with the board. I definitely agree. But when we get into the weeds in the school and sit down with teachers and administrators and the students, there are a whole array of things that go into a conversation about a student, not just these scores.
Yeah, Brant, I appreciate you sharing that. This test, each of these tests takes approximately 90 minutes. So you're looking at an hour and a half here, an hour, that's 3. So this is 4.5 hours over the course of 365 days. So when you look at that, Brant, you're exactly right. That's a perfect example. So yeah, we realize this is such a small percentage of what we know about our students. It is a piece of the puzzle, but it is a single piece. But again, what it does show is, especially when you're comparing to the national average, it shows that we are excelling academically with our students, which I think says a lot.
So a 90-minute test for the lower grades too?
No, lower grades, I want to say it's 45 to 60. It is a lengthy, it definitely tests stamina and yeah, a student's ability to focus for that long. But the younger grades, it's not as structured. There's like, it's not silent. There's a little bit more opportunity for them to be squirmy and stuff like that. So yeah, it is definitely designed for the grade level that they give it to.
Good call out, Brant. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to move on here. Now, Ms. Michal Cohen, I'm not sure if you are able to unmute yourself and you would like to share a little bit of information about this slide.
I am here. Hi, everybody. So this is super, super brief. And yeah, a snapshot. My current caseload is 43 students. That includes students who I see weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. It doesn't actually include the as needed support. So crisis intervention, kids who, need something that day, conflict with another student, things like that. My caseload fluctuates and has for the last probably 2 years, between 40 and 60. Actually, at one point it was 65. I believe that was 2 years ago, which is an average of 10 to 15% of the student body. The national average is 11.2 to 12.8%. So it is sometimes slightly lower and sometimes higher. What I didn't put this in, but just thinking from hearing everybody talk tonight, what I am finding interesting is that my caseload right now, I would say more than 50% of the students are new to me, not students that I was supporting pre-pandemic. There has definitely been a shift in students who, pre-pandemic, most of the students who I was seeing, anxiety has always sort of, well, not always, but in the last 3 years at least, has been the predominant reason for me to see students. And pre-pandemic, it was a lot of students who had a more organic, ongoing anxiety that was affecting them on a daily basis. What my caseload is now, I have a lot of students who did not, who were not struggling with anxiety or with depression or with life pre-pandemic. And what they are dealing with now is very, they go very hand in hand. So I think that's important to know, and not surprising at all, as we know what's going on across the country. So in terms of social emotional curriculum or curricula and things that I'm doing on a larger scale for the whole school or for full classrooms. So rhythm, I presented, about rhythm a while ago. And I don't know if you remember the school tempo score. When I log on to Rhythm, I get to see the numbers for the whole school. And 75 is what, so this year, September to present, is what they call the all-time, because that's the whole time we've been using Rhythm. That's our all-time. But interestingly, since 2021, however, important to know, that's only 3 weeks of school, is a 78. So it's a higher score, but it's a very short period of time. So I am excited to see a higher number, but I also, there's a lot to see from here on out. And also the school participation is way down. So, when we first started, it was at 100%, or no, I'm going to say like 90%. And now it is, there's a lot going on. Students are doing a lot, teachers are introducing a lot and implementing a lot. And we are reminding them to use Rhythm, but it seems quite apparent that it is a struggle for everyone to stay on top of it. I'm also doing classroom lessons, but this, from now to the end of the school year, this is going to be a big push for me. Thanks to the partnership, we now have a membership for GoZen, which is an online program. There is a free version for any parent who wants to download and use printables. Like, there's a lot of free stuff, which is great, and it's all anxiety. It all has to do with reducing anxiety. So I have started using that with a lot of my students. I'm finding that my sort of 1st through 5th graders are much more into it than my middle schoolers. But it's a really, really great program, and a lot of great downloadables, printables, activities, and also MindUp. I want to get that back into all the classrooms. So my goal is to work monthly in some way with every class in the school. Yeah, I see Brant smiling. Good luck with that. I'm really gonna try. I really, really am. The focus, no matter what I'm doing with the classes this year, the focus has been anxiety reduction. There are a lot of other things I could be doing, but anxiety is really what I need to be focusing on with the kids right now.
Mihal, a question for you. The 9% that you're showing here for 2021, is that the school participation is down 9%, or you only have 9% of respondents?
Oh no, it's not. It is. Oh, you know what? Actually, no, it is 9%. It's not down 9%. It is 9% of the student body is, yeah. So it's way, 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 way down.
And I wanted to ask, we have additional mental support, right, with the social worker. Is that 40 to 60 cases all the students that are receiving mental health support, or are there additional students that are seeing this?
These are students that I work with.
Okay.
So Jenny is also going to be presenting. Okay. I don't know if, I know she's presenting on behavior and social work in the school. I know that there are students that she is working with. She's going to have more information on that, but this is strictly the kids that I work with.
So the percentage of kids that are receiving mental health support might be a lot more than the national average.
It could be, and honestly, I should, it's a good question for me to ask Jenny. At the beginning of the year, she was still working with some of the students that she was working with in the past 2 years. I don't know if they have all transferred over to me at this point, or I don't know how many of her students are receiving mental health counseling from her, or if they're all behavior. So when
she transitioned that. Is that why she transitioned away from the mental health support? She's doing the behavioral support and social work. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
That makes sense. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So thanks everybody. Yeah.
So the school is paying for Rhythm now, right? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
So are we going to visit whether that's effective or not, if it's down to only 9%?
It's a conversation that I've been having with Kim. And part of the conversation is how to help them get back into it. It is such a helpful tool for me, and for teachers who are using it. It's an incredibly helpful tool for the kids who are using it, who I work with. It's really helpful. I have started using it with every kid when they come in. The first thing we do is go on to Rhythm. So it's helping me get data. It's more data for me. If 100% of the students were doing it, it would be incredible, like it was at the beginning when we first used it. So what Kim and I have been talking about, what we need to figure out is beyond reminders and reminding emails, how are we going to get everyone totally on board?
As a parent, it's definitely a challenge. Like the little one hates it. He's like, do I have to watch the video? Mom, how do I feel about, so he's always, I try to leave the room the 6 times that he's done it anyway. And Dominic, it's, whatever. So just, I know from a parent standpoint, it's been difficult to get them to kind of embrace it. And then from a board standpoint, it's, I'm just, the money and if it's not being, it would be great. I understand the data, that feedback is invaluable, but if you're not getting it, then maybe we need a different tool.
Yeah.
I think just teacher perspective, especially looking at the since 2021, we've been in school for 6 weeks. 3 of those have been remote. And so trying to, every time we switch gears from back in person to remote to hybrid, we had Martin Luther King off. You know, it's another part to get them going again. So I think you were right, Michal, when you said they've had, you know, teachers are introducing a lot. There's a lot of shifts in schedules. We have some of my kids do it on their in-person days. Some of them only do it on their remote days. So there's a lot of different pieces to it. I think it's definitely worthy of a whole faculty conversation to see where we are and, you know, what we need to do, what will work best. So let's put that on the agenda for the next week or so for us to have a whole faculty conversation.
That's a great idea. Thanks, Sarah.
All right, I think next is Kelly Rooney. I don't know if Kelly is on.
I am, I'm here.
Okay, I was gonna say, I thought I saw your name.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just gonna apologize in advance if my toddler makes himself known. So I'm gonna try to keep it brief. It's approaching bedtime. I know you guys all know the deal. So we are currently serving 60 EC students. However, that number seems to be changing pretty frequently in terms of adding new kids. Some are being dismissed. It's a constantly fluctuating number. We have been providing services according to their IEP since the beginning of the year, with the exception of we've created 6 contingency plans, which is something the state put out early into the school year. That pretty much just outlines if we're not able to serve students according to their IEPs. We have not initiated any of those because we've created a schedule that allows us to serve our kids to the exactly to their minutes. However, we do have 6 in place right now by parent request, and those are for various reasons, but mostly because while their kids are remote, whether they're fully remote or on their remote days or whatever it may be, Wednesdays, it's just too much. It's too much Zooms for them to keep up with. So we just have that plan in place to account for that fluctuation. So we created the master schedule in August. We've been following it as we would in a typical year. We've certainly had a crazy amount of schedule changes within our EC schedules because of the constantly changing school-wide schedule. But by creating the master schedule as if the year was normal in August, it has allowed us to as easily as we can transition in and out of various plans. So our kids' service times don't change, whether we're hybrid or remote, whether they're at home on that day or in school at that time, whatever it might be, that time is consistent with the exception of, you know, the changes that we've had to make. But, and then we have had some challenges with student participation while we're remote, or during remote times, or just remote days, whatever it might be. But that's the exact reason we have most of our kids in the building to the greatest extent that we can have them there, if their parents are comfortable with it. So these are this little chart is just showing the average growth with those same assessments that Mac showed earlier. Brant, I really appreciate what you said, and it's likely even more true of our EC students in that this is one snapshot in time and not typically the most accurate reflection of their growth because of the stamina involved, because of a lot of factors. But it's also there is growth across the board with our EC students in reading and math K-8. So it was really nice to see that. We know they're getting really great instruction in their regular education classrooms, and then obviously with our EC teachers. So it's promising to see that. And although we don't put too incredibly much stock into that, it is what the state looks at. So it is important to have a gauge of what that may look like at the end of the year too. So anyone have any questions for me? All right, Well, then I'm going to go back on mute before you hear the chorus of no's.
Thanks, Kelly. I appreciate that. Next up, we have Jenny talking about her social work and the behavior support she has.
Hi, everyone. So for social work, basically what I've been doing is providing some community resources to individual families that need anywhere from contact or help with contacting the Department of Social Services for their assistance. For job finding help, I've been able to find links to jobs and job searches for those that are looking. For housing and apartment help to keep those and to stop evictions and things like that. Food related resources, I did get CFCI registered with Nourish NC. And we partnered with communities in schools for school supply help earlier in the school year. I've given out a suicide hotline and sent some low-cost counseling services that are around the area to some families as well for the parents that may need that support too. Let's see what else. So I do provide individual counseling for students and to help with self-awareness and frustration tolerance and anger management. And we've seen an increase in those type of things with schedule changes and at-home learning where they're maybe not getting the help they want or don't understand a concept. And I teach students how to just take a deep breath, to slow down, that they are able to reach out for help, and it's okay if they don't understand it right away. I do home visits if any families are in need of support in that respect. For the behavior piece, I currently have 16 students in person and remotely that I'm helping. The behavior room is always available to all students who need to either self-remove or need a calming space just to take a break. And I support the students and the teachers through doing student observations and helping to create positive behavior interventions. I teach social skills and self-regulation techniques to small groups and individual students. And in a nutshell, that's what I do.
So Jenny, just to follow up, when I asked Mahal, are you serving, do you have a caseload of students that you're providing mental health services to also, would you say?
I do. My counseling services are smaller now that I have a behavior piece. So I do have a small caseload of students that I am providing counseling to.
Do you have an estimate of how many, or?
It's part of that 16 that I'm serving in behavior. Yep.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I think, Jenny, thank you. Thanks to all of our people that are presenting. I think that was the last slide as part of that presentation. Hopefully everybody, I tried to share with everybody to verify that everybody got it. So hopefully you have an email and you'll be able to view that at your leisure. And obviously if you have any questions, reach out to any of us, to Ms. McCormick or myself or any of our presenters if you have any more questions.
Thank you. Let's see. I have something about our summer school plan.
Yes, that is me as well. Let me turn my camera back on here just so everybody can see my wonderful bow tie. So let me share my screen real quick. This is the plan that we put in place. Well, this is actually a very similar plan to what we've done in the past with summer school. In the state of North Carolina, there is no retesting. Retesting is no longer legal. And so one of the things that many school systems have the opportunity to do is create a short summer program in order to provide either reteaching or either teaching test taking strategies or to review actual material in preparation for taking an EOG assessment again. So we are planning for something similar. You can see we're going to provide a summer program to review test taking skills and strategies along with curriculum for students who score a level 1 or 2 on the EOG in math or science. Now, this is the same plan we used 2 years ago. We actually no longer use levels. It's either not proficient or 3, 4, or 5. So I'm going to have to update the language for that so that it shows. So basically, any student that is not proficient in either math or science will have an opportunity to participate in our summer program where we will teach test taking strategies and that kind of thing. Let's see here. Yeah, so basically it's again, 3rd, 4th. I'm not sure what happened with the 5th grade box there, so I'm gonna have to update that. 6th, 7th, or 8th in math or science or math 1. So this is a summer school program. It does require board approval. It does not have to be approved at this board meeting. We can, if we would like to wait to the next board meeting, we can. If anyone has questions or if we want to vote on it pending the small revision in the wording and adding 5th grade in there, that is up to the board. I am open for any questions anybody may have.
Mac, do you have any expectations for what you think summer school is going to look like this year? Any guess, I should say.
Ms. McCormick actually might be better to answer that. She seems to have her pulse on a lot more of what other school systems in the state are talking about. I don't know, Kim, if you want to weigh in on that.
What summer school would look like?
Yeah.
What you're
Yeah,
talking
just
about,
any.
Mac?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
any.
It just depends
idea.
on testing and what happens with how many kids we end up, where they end up. I mean, it really is that. I mean, in the past, I mean, we didn't test last year, so that was kind of hard. We did the year before, and we did the summer plan. No, we had the summer plan prepared, right, Mac? We haven't done, or did we do it? We did it one year.
We did it, not this past year, but the year before.
2 years
we did,
ago.
Yep, 2 years ago we did.
So, but what are you asking specifically, Lakeisha?
Well, I'm wondering, are we talking about in person? Are we talking about remote? Are we talking about X number of kids? And
we're talking about
curious.
it would be in person, Lakeisha. All of our testing would be in person.
Okay.
The testing would be what I know we talked about offering that remote option as well. Really, we want to give as many kids as possible an opportunity to participate.
Cool. Well, I'm fine. I guess I'm kind of like Mac. I'm fine either way if we want to do a vote with that additional or those 2 modifications, or if it's best to just wait until next month since it's not necessarily a time crunch. Dr. Mack can take care of those couple little revisions. Come back with the bow tie.
I think if the revisions are set, if we vote for that, it just takes one more agenda item off the thing for next month, Lakeisha. So if people were comfortable this month, I would recommend going forward.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so I just need a motion to approve the summer school plan with the modification of the wording and selecting the 5th grade. I think that was the 5th grade box on the form.
Yeah, hold on. What wording again? I know the box check, but what specific wording to add?
So
about
basically,
proficient.
Yeah, there's no longer a level 1 or 2 being not proficient. It just says not proficient on the score report.
I see. Yeah. I'll motion to approve the summer school plan with the updates to grade 5 and the proficiency level updates.
I'll second that.
Great. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Sounds good. Motion approved. We have a summer school plan with those modifications discussed. Big thanks to Dr. Mack and his bow tie.
You're welcome.
All right, let's move on to our committees. I guess it's easier to ask if anyone has any questions about PPRC. We'll just go down the line. If anyone's had a chance to look at that. I had a quick question. There was something in those minutes about reviewing social media policy. I didn't know if that was for families, for staff, for everybody.
It's for everybody, Lakeisha.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was my only question for that.
Sure.
Any questions on finance? Or development? Lifelong learning? Technology? And our PCN. Oh, go ahead.
I think we have the wrong link for finance.
Sorry, I can look. My apologies.
Oh, I think you're right, because I
okay.
clicked it and I got PPRC also.
Oh, I'll change it for you. I apologize.
Is there anything that we need to be aware of from a finance committee perspective?
Tiffany, did you have anything? Were you at the last one? I can't remember. Sorry.
Yeah, I was. We both had to run out right at 4. But I don't think there's anything. Is Mallory here? I don't think.
I'm making that change right now. I apologize.
Okay, that's right.
You had brought up that we have a lot of things that are being prioritized by faculty and staff, and so that's really the main, like, to begin the budget for next year.
Mm.
Yeah, which you've mentioned tonight as well. Okay.
All right, good stuff. What about PCN, the December or the January notes? I'm taking another look. I don't think I had any questions about that either. All right. Looks like we have gotten through all that good stuff. Is there anything else that we either haven't discussed or we want to revisit for our March meeting?
Can I just say something, Lakeisha?
Absolutely.
So the faculty and staff have gone through our organizational chart, and we'd like to present that to the board. But we did not know if it would be better to do a meeting before a meeting scenario versus, and just focus on the org chart and the pieces of it versus bringing it into a board meeting. So I would just, appreciate what the board's feedback would be on that. Prioritizing, so our next board meeting is on the 16th, I believe. And so the thought was maybe we could do a presentation on the 2nd. But, if you think it's all right, it would probably take about 20 to 30 minutes for a presentation, and then any questions that would happen. So less than an hour, I would anticipate.
It's fine for me.
I would be fine with that. I think it's good to have those meetings before the meetings. Let's go ahead and discuss that date now while we're all together. Does 6 o'clock on March the 2nd, that's another Tuesday, does that work for most of our folks?
I'm not available, but looks like everybody else is.
Okay. Well, we will just miss Tiffany dearly. So let's just plan to do that, a special meeting on March 2nd. If something changes and we need to cancel it or push it back, we absolutely can. But it sounds like you already have everything together and you're pretty much ready to go. Is that right, Kim?
I think we're pretty ready to go. Yeah, I think for the second, it would be great. And Tiffany, we can record it and have it ready for you so that you can watch it. And for anybody that would want to watch it, we would have that for you.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that would just be it's like our info session. It's not where a vote would be required. We vote in March at our regular monthly meeting. Okay. Making sure. Good stuff.
Hey, I have a dumb question.
No such thing.
I was scanning through the PCN minutes and see an articulation to the COVID dashboard being live on the website, but I just can't find it. And it kind of in the same genre of posting some of the CDC stuff on there. I don't see it.
So we'll look again. I'll just make sure. I do know that there was a new website put up about 2 weeks ago. And so some things may have gotten changed around too, Dave. So I'll just check it. So what you're referencing is, I'm sorry, give that to me again.
Yeah. So specifically in the PCN meeting minutes, it talks about the COVID task force and it says the CFCI COVID dashboard is live on the website. And I just don't.
Well, that's interesting because we've never intended for the COVID dashboard to be on our website. We've only wanted it to be, and Tanya really recommended. She didn't even want to do a dashboard, and so she really does not recommend it going to the. I mean, we could talk about it at the COVID ad hoc, but she did not feel because of just the privacy and how small our school is, to put it up live like that. So that may have just been a misprint, like a misread on where that should have been, but that should not be on our dashboard. The dashboard shouldn't be on our website. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's kind of what piqued my interest. I didn't think that. I thought that might be, shared in other manners. So
what I can do is just to make sure that the meeting notes are right. I'll just talk. I mean, we have a meeting this Thursday, but I'll talk to Elaine and just make sure that the minutes reflect it correctly. So
okay, cool. And then that's all I have.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else that we need to address next month? All right. In that case, if there is nothing else, my friends, I think we are ready to adjourn. I just need a motion to adjourn.
Who's that?
I'll move to adjourn.
She just left.
Is there a second?
There are people leaving.
There are people leaving.
I'll do it. Second.
Fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful night and see you later.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
See ya.
Lakeisha, was that Jayla?
No, it was not. It wasn't my kid, that one. That kid was too nice. Are you kidding?
I would have seen her jumping in the screen.
I'll tell her you said that too.
Yeah.
See you later.